Okay, back to where I was. Sorry, I got interrupted, but maybe doing a shorter version of the video will help me upload it faster. Anyway, back to my coffee time, and she told me that God, I wasn't allowing him to open the doors that he wanted to open for me. So I was like, oh wow, that was the Holy Spirit coming through her. We were also going through 21 days of prayer in January every year, and in August our church does 21 days of prayer. So that started the first week of January. And ladies, if you want to write down some of these are some more key points that I took notes on each one of those days. But the subject for that period of 21 days of prayer was stepping into the fire, walking in faith. Don't fear the future, face it. Panic and worry achieve nothing. Focus on your blessings and not your losses. And that was a big one for me. Our mother was still alive. And although she had dementia, she always knew who we were every time we'd come to see her. She thought her mom was still alive, who passed away in 1998. So we just went along with that too, but she always knew who we were. She was the sweetest thing. So focus on your blessings and not your losses. Here's a good one. You can't steal second base when you keep your foot on first base. Step out in faith. Have faith in the impossibilities. Anything is possible. We know that. And boy, do I know that now. God makes no mistakes. Trust his plan. So these are the things I was hearing as from other people as I was hearing instructions from the Lord. Halfway into the month, a local minister commented on a random video on social media that I did. All he said was amen. And he's a local minister in our area. I actually know him. And I said, underneath that video, I said, Rob, how do you know when God is telling you to do something, and how do you know when the right time is? And he wrote back, which I didn't see until a week later. He said, Melissa, if God is telling you to do something, you need to do it immediately, as long as it does not contradict scripture. And I was like, whoa, oh, okay. So this was about the first part of the third week in January. And I was like, okay, all right, God. And I'm laying in the bed. When I saw that his answer, I was looking up at the ceiling before I went to work, and I started to cry. And I did something that I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be doing or not, but I asked God. At first I said, I'm so sorry that I hear you. And I'm so sorry to ask you this. And I don't even know if it's the right thing to do or not, but could you please just give me one more sign? Please just give me one more sign. Tears coming down. I'm like, okay, that was probably the wrong thing to do, but I was like, okay, got up and went to work, thinking that it could be 2 months, it could be 6 months, it could be a year that I get that sign, and I'm gonna know it. I knew I would know it when I got the sign. So going about my day, I jumped on another Zoom call that I hadn't planned to attend, working on our budget, the office budget. And so I turned the camera off. But the guest speaker that day, she's an amazing woman. She didn't know me from Adam. I didn't know her, never heard of her, but I couldn't take my eyes off of that video. And she is a 2-time breast cancer survivor. She's still a managing broker, real estate broker, just like I was. And she's a life coach. And the last closing note that she said, she was amazing, everything she said. But the last closing words were, if you were to remove all of the money, all of the ifs, ands, and buts out of the equation, what are you waiting for? Life is too short. Whoa. I got chills. I pushed my chair back and I was like, oh my God, I just got the sign. I just got the sign and I knew what I had to do. I called my husband and he said, okay, you got to do it. I waited a few days before I turned in my notice, and my boss at the time was saying, can we chat? Can we talk about this? And I said, no, I can't. This is too strong. This is what God is telling me to do. And I have to go. I'm going to go back into sales. And I stayed for 2 months until they could find someone to fill my position. So during the next 3 years, I was able to spend time with our mother. I was able to spend time with Billy, quality time, and to hang with and take care of Chaz, my bonus son. So during those 3 years, they were in and out of the hospital a lot, especially Billy. Billy always had a lot of medical issues, and before our mother had her stroke, she was always there with him. She would never leave his side. She was in her 80s staying at the hospital overnight, and we would try to relieve her, and she was like, nope, I'm not gonna do it. She was stubborn when it came to her baby, Billy. But they were in and out of the hospital, and thanks to Tiffany over there, who she was always usually the one that would go to the ER when they went in, because I'm in Newport News. Bobby would be working, and she works, but she's also a mama bear and loved her new mom. We did the best we could, being there for them and trying to advocate for them, but it was exhausting. And Becca also played a huge role in helping out and staying with them sometimes, so I appreciate that as well. Your family members, they're there to help. And but the overnights, it got exhausting. And towards the end, the last few times that Billy was in the hospital, we would stay, and once he'd been there maybe a week, we would stay until it was time to go home. And sometimes we would slip out and get some sleep, or I'd go to Jordan and Becca's and stay with them. But sadly, and this is something that is hard for us, but sadly, Billy went into the hospital Christmas Eve 2023, and Tiffany gave up her Christmas Eve evening to be there with him. Sadly, Billy passed away January 3rd, 2024, last year. We were shocked. We always thought he would go home. I mean, we knew he was declining, because it was clear he had been declining for a while. But we actually thought he was going home that next day, because he kept saying he was going home. But that's the home he went to at 10 o'clock p.m. on the 3rd. Sometimes, not sometimes, I do believe that God knows when we're going to go, when we're going to go, who's going to be with us when we go, and whether we're going to be alone or whether we want to have family with us. Everybody's different. When we transition, some people they wait until you leave because they want you in your spots and where you're supposed to be. And that's what I believe with Billy. And that's what gets me through it. Our mother, on the other hand, wanted us to be there. I felt that in my heart, and I wanted to be there personally. So after Billy passed, a couple months later in April, I decided life is too short. I'm going to plan vacation. And we've never had a family vacation where all the grandkids come and the kids. So I planned it around the end of June. And I also planned a week vacation with my husband. We had never been alone for an entire week away because of Chaz, and I arranged caregiving for him. And so I had 2 vacations set up and was pretty excited about both of them. We thought our mother was doing great. Not mentally, but physically. She was in a wheelchair, but she was as happy as could be. And I had been to see her in June. Well, within a week from me seeing her, she went to the hospital. Little did we know, everything she had in her body was shutting down. she also got gangrene of her foot because she had some foot issues where her toes crossed over. It was bad. And they put her on hospice. We didn't even think we'd get her out of the hospital, but we were able to get her back to the facility where they have health care, where she lived in a wonderful facility. So we were blessed that they were there to take care of her as well. So spending time with her was important. And, you know, I've never been around anybody that had passed like that before. I hadn't been near anyone that had died. And I knew where she was going. She was going to be going to heaven soon. But the doctors and nurses said, you need to go on your vacation, because it was the following week and I was so torn. I didn't know what to do. They said, she could be here for a while and we'll call you if anything changes. Well, we went, and the first couple days, all I could think about was my mother. And it killed me that I was there, and what if something happened to her? And so the middle of the week, I drove from Nags Head up to Richmond just to make sure she was okay. Spent a couple hours with her and drove back to Nags Head and enjoyed our family vacation. We got back a couple months later. She was still kicking. Not really, but I mean, you know, she was still living and on a hospice, but she was declining. And, you know, I said to my brother, I said, you know, Charlie and I have this vacation planned. And he said, you got to go. It was in September. And I was August saying this, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said, you have to go. What are you going to do? What are you going to do here? But I knew that I'd be devastated if I was down in Florida and our mom passed. But I knew she could be still living through another couple months after that. So I, in my heart, figured I would probably be going. So the last week before our vacation, she was declining, and I went up there like almost every day. I was driving back and forth. I just wanted to come home and be in my bed, but I knew they would call me if anything happened. So I was going to skip Sunday, try to rest a little bit, and go back Monday before we were going to board the plane on Tuesday. And something told me I needed to go. I was sitting in church with my husband, and I said, I need to go see my mom today. And I did. And I hung up there for about 2 or 3 hours talking to her, although she was asleep most of the time that day. And I looked up at the ceiling and had a conversation with God. And I said, I know I've been trying to control this too. I really wanted to be here if anything happens, and really wanted you to have her wait until I get back, or have her go join you before I left. I said, and once again I was crying, and I said, I'm turning it over to you, God. And that's what you have to do in your life, ladies. Turn it all over to him. And I said, I'm going to let go. And whatever your plan is, whatever you want with her, and when she enters your gate, it'll happen. And I went home. I went to sleep. Got a phone call the next morning at 5 o'clock a.m. from her facility. They said, we believe today is going to be the day. And I was like, oh my God, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. Driving up 64 to Richmond, it was the most beautiful sunrise I'd ever seen in my life in my rearview mirror. Orange and yellows and pinks and purple. It was gorgeous. And I knew that was a sign today was going to be the day. So we were there. Tiffany was there. My brother Bobby was there, and I was there. We were by her side. She passed away at 10 o'clock, 10:44 that morning. It just dawned on me they both died at 10 o'clock, like in the 10 o'clock hour. That just dawned on me when I said that. Billy was like 10 something. I forget. My mom was at 10:44. Okay. And you know, as she was passing, my brother said, you know what she wanted, right? Because my mom and Billy both wanted to be cremated. And she wanted her ashes spread wherever we wanted to spread them. And he said, you know, one part I forgot. Our mom, when she was 70, I'll get this right today. I'm going off the cuff here instead of the paper, which is a good thing. But our mom was pretty prudish when we were growing up. But when she turned 70, she wanted to drink a beer, ride a Harley, and get a tattoo. And she did. Tiffany, myself, and my mom, we all got tattoos together when she turned 70. And she did all that. Then she wanted to skydive. She did it not once but twice because the first time wasn't high enough. She found a higher place. And my brother Bobby would always skydive with her because I always said, no way in heck am I ever jumping out of a plane. Why would I do that? I was a cheerleader rooting them on along with Billy. And Billy always wished he could, but he was limited due to his disabilities. So when my mom was passing, my brother said, you know what she wanted? And she wanted her ashes spread wherever. And so he said, don't worry. I know you don't want to do it. Austin, which is his son, my nephew, he said, Austin and I can do it. And I said, oh, no, I'll do it. I'm going to take one for the team. I'm going to do it. I was scared, but we did it November 9th. Which was Billy's first heavenly birthday. We spread their ashes in what's called an ash dive over the mountains in Orange County, Virginia. And one thing that I do want to say that my mother always wanted Billy to pass before her. And some people might not understand that, but she felt like she could handle it more than he could handle her going first, because he always said he couldn't live without her and that he would roll his chair in the lake at Bird Park where he lives. So, you know, that did happen. And she had dementia. But we did get her, you know, we told her what had happened, and we had a small family gathering, and she was there and she was fine. But we did the skydiving November 9th. And what I would like to do next is show you the video where we spread their ashes. And I'll preface this by saying we had a professional photographer. I had to slice the video because he didn't capture the ash diving part. My granddaughter Addison over there did, and thank goodness she did. So I was able to add it into the video. And part of the video in the beginning is a little bit quiet. It's hard to hear, and then it gets louder, but it's the most beautiful, faith-filling thing I've ever done in my life. And yeah, so here we go. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, let me mention before we get going, there were 2 orbs. And if you believe in this, and I do, we never saw it. Bobby and I never saw it, but we had about 30 people there, and they all saw the orbs in the sky. They were rainbow orbs, all colorful. When we went up into the plane, they were not there before. It hadn't rained or anything. And there were 2 separated from each other, but they were shining down. One was round and one kind of went like a rainbow looking thing by the pictures, because we didn't see them, because they said when we turned around, when we landed on the ground and they turned around, they were gone. And when I looked up rainbow orb, it is your loved ones coming back to celebrate with you. And I hope you'll celebrate watching this video and celebrate life. Here we go. Okay, video's over. My final words to you, ladies, today. And my journey is not about perfection. Obviously, none of us are perfect. It's about obedience. It's about trust. And it's about God's faithfulness. And if God speaks to you, even if it's scary, trust Him and obey Him. He knows your heart. He knows your path. And He will always provide. Thank you for allowing me to share my journey. And I pray it encourages you to listen for His voice in your own life.